Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to speculate about our next champion release and also make what I think is a fairly good argument as to exactly who it's going to be. Now, unlike a lot of these other videos that I've done previously, where I really kind of say, well, it could be like this, or the character could be something like this, or they could have these kinds of things, I think I can claim exactly, without a doubt, who the next character in League of Legends is going to be. And for that, I'm going to take you guys on a little bit of a history trip here in order to make my point and make my argument so you guys understand exactly where I'm coming from and I'm not just spitballing at this. Now, the character that I'm going to claim is our next champion is, of course, Corina Veraza. If you guys saw my most recent Legends of Runeterra video, I make a real quick comment on that. I do say that Corina Veraza is going to be our next character. If you guys are unfamiliar with the character, she is a follower card from Legends of Runeterra. She was initially released in the original set, the Foundations set, if you want to call it that. And generally, she was an interesting card. A lot of the named follower cards in Legends of Runeterra are sort of interesting build-around-me cards. Corina actually had some metagame viability for quite some time. She was a finisher in the infamous Corina control deck. So in that regard, she was a known quantity, but I don't know that a lot of people really got interested in her as a character, unlike a character like Commander Ladros or Cythria, where people really got invested in those characters as characters. Corina ended up being more of a, yeah, okay, it's a named character, but I'm not going to really worry about that too much. And being a named character in Runeterra doesn't necessarily mean that you are set up to be a champion or that Riot's even going to do anything with you. A lot of card games have like legendary named creatures or named monsters or whatever you want to call it. And because you have champions and you only have so many of those, and those are bigger, splashier cards, you have more sort of character space that you're able to fill out. So it makes sense that Riot are just going to invent characters and say, yeah, these are going to be people. And when they make references to them, like with Rasa the Sunderer being in Ruin King, by all accounts, that's kind of cool, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come to League of Legends as a playable champion. And I feel like this is where people were at with Corina Veraza up until the release of the Magical Misadventures set and the introduction of Caitlyn to the game. Now, if you guys recall, the Magical Misadventures Runeterra set came out close to, if not exactly, during the release of the Riot X Arcane event, which was a big Piltover and Zaun themed event because of the fact that Arcane deals specifically with Piltover and Zaun. And as I've talked about previously in another video, whenever Riot does an event, they want to make sure all their eggs line up in the same basket, right? If they're going to do an event, let's say about Demacia, then they're going to release a Demacian champion. They're going to release skins for Demacian champions. They're going to do an ASU for a Demacian champion. They're going to release a bunch of stories about Demacia, right? They try to make sure that everything they do for the event is all lined up thematically and coherently. And this is the exact scenario that we find ourselves in with the Riot X Arcane event, right? We got the Caitlyn ASU. We got the Blitzcrank Victoria skin. We got a bunch of content specifically for Piltover and Zaun champions. And if you guys recall, the two champions that we were supposed to get during that event were delayed. And this is because Riot said we didn't want to change them to make them fit in with the event. So instead, we're going to delay them so that way they can sort of release and have their own spotlight directed on them. However, this does mean that they are likely both from Piltover and Zaun, because, again, they were going to come out during the event, and even if Riot didn't want to change them to make them related to Arcane, it would make sense that they were at least tangentially related to Arcane by being from the same city that Arcane takes place in. And we've already seen one of the champions that Riot delayed in the form of Zeri, who is from Zaun, which then it makes it stand to reason that because these two champions were supposed to come out at around the same time, that they would then end up being from the exact same region. So I think it does stand to reason that our next champion, whomever it is, I'm making the argument that it's Corina, is from Piltover and Zaun. And Corina Veraza is a Piltover card. I did get a little bit sidetracked here, but so during the Legends of Runeterra release, alongside Caitlyn, there was a card release called Corina Mastermind, which was a follow-up to the original Corina Veraza card, and it did very similar things mechanically. But importantly, the cards in that set that were released sort of tell a story of Caitlyn trying to track down some form of mastermind who's causing problems in Piltover and Zaun, and eventually coming across Corina Veraza, who has been the one behind the scenes manipulating things the whole time, who knew Caitlyn was coming and had a plan set for her. So even though Caitlyn feels like she's finally tracked down the clues and is going to be the one basically taking Corina to prison, Corina has planned for this eventuality and has set herself up for success, right? That's kind of the story that's being told by these cards. And the cards also have a very interesting bit of dialogue, I would say here, in the form of Caitlyn calling Corina C. Now, this is an extremely old lore reference for those of you who weren't playing League of Legends back in like the Season 2, Season 3 era, because it's something that got dropped a long time ago. But originally, Caitlyn's main nemesis, because this was before Jinx even existed, Caitlyn's main nemesis was not Jinx. It wasn't any of the other characters that were in the game. It was, in fact, a mysterious and elusive figure known only as C. So known because the calling card they left behind at each of their crimes was just a card with the letter C emblazoned on it. And this C was Caitlyn's main villain, but basically nothing was ever done with this plot arc. It was mentioned like once or twice, and then essentially abandoned, but that doesn't mean the player base forgot about it. Even as recently as Camille's release, people were saying, oh, it's Camille C, right? She has a C name, she references C when she talks to Caitlyn during her unique interaction with Caitlyn. Like, maybe that's it, but then nothing was ever done with that, and again, it was dropped. So for Riot to suddenly remind us again of the C arc that Caitlyn has had, and to have another C-named character specifically make a reference to C in the form of Corina Veraza, well, it's too much of a coincidence for me to pass up. I really can't think that Riot are going to dredge up this ancient lore blurb just as a sort of, oh, hey, you guys remember this? You guys remember this plot arc we never did anything with? We're going to reference it here. Have fun with that. Right, to me, that's not Riot just making a random reference. That's Riot saying, specifically, we're laying the groundwork for this. And recall as well that Riot have gotten really interested and excited in doing characters that have previously existed in the lore as new champions, right? We saw this with the success of Senna. We saw this with the success of Yone. Most recently, Viego is a character that has existed in the lore previously that has never actually been shown in-game, even though people have speculated about his existence for a while. Then he finally showed up again to much success. So Riot have a vested interest in doing characters that have previously existed in lore or in champion backstories or in other places, right? So it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility for Riot to say, basically, we're going to go all the way back to Caitlyn's backstory with C and be able to say, we're actually going to do this as a character. The other thing I want to reference here as well is the images that Riot gave us as part of their season start live stream. Now, this was something where they talk a lot about the newer character, and I'll talk about their specific words in a little bit here, but the image they display shows a mechanical arm touching basically some sort of mechanical device. It's unclear exactly what it's supposed to be. But this is a relevant thing to discuss here because the mechanical arm is near identical to the arm that Corina Mastermind has in her artwork. I will have the card art linked down in the description for you guys to take a look at so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. But so that already, I think, is a dead giveaway. But also the way Riot have talked about the newest champion that we're getting is that they are basically it was always this character behind the scenes manipulating things out of line of sight in order to set the game up for success. That they're a support, but that's not because they can't get things done themselves, it's because that's how they operate. They set everything up, they make sure their team is the cronies doing the work for them, but they're always the ones who are setting it up behind the scenes. Sort of like a, criminal mastermind, shall we say. Someone like maybe Corina Mastermind. So, and I think this makes a lot of sense as well for the sort of character archetype, right? If Corina's supposed to be this scheming, plotting, always 2 steps ahead type character, it kind of makes sense that then she would line up with this description that we're getting of the newest champion. The other thing that I think is sort of a dead giveaway is the device that Corina has, or that the character in the artwork is sort of this purple glow, which is reminiscent of the purple glow, or the purple flowers that Corina cultivated in her original card art and in her original card VFX, right? Those are like purple flowers that ideally she turns into some kind of bomb or weapon, or, she does something with it in order to have her effect in Legends of Runeterra. And it would make sense that maybe she found a way to distill it down and actually turn it into some form of massive weapon that then she can use in League of Legends as something, right? So I think there's a lot then that points to Corina being the next champion in League of Legends. I think that theoretically she also may be someone who shows up in like a second season of Arcane as one who takes over the Shimmer supply, as the description that Riot gave us for the newest champion also mentions that they can make people go berserk, and there is the sort of purple glow in the device, which could indicate Shimmer. That I'm a little less confident on. I'm not sure if Riot would introduce sort of another evil mastermind type villain soon after Silco disappeared. But in general, I'm really excited about the implications of this, and I really do think this is a smoking gun saying that Corina Veraza is going to be our next champion. But if you guys disagree with me, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about who you think the new champion is going to be. If you guys think it's going to be someone other than Corina Veraza, or if there's something that disproves any of this, let me know all that down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all later.